Hey there, it's Tim with another edition of Vape Laxin', or the show formerly known as Tim's Smoke Review. One of the reasons I changed the name was because I'm not really doing reviews anymore. In fact, this is the first time I've had a video up in over a year, but more just to reflect about what I do, and that is Vape Laxin'. Yeah. But today I'm going to be taking a 6 months later look at the Innokin Coolfire 4 TC100, and I'm using the iSub S tank on both of these that I'm looking at today, as well as the Innokin iTaste Hunter, and once again with the iSub S tank on it. Both of these are temperature control mods. And one thing I noticed kind of perusing YouTube is that, all the reviews that are online are for stuff that's come out brand new. And rarely do you see anybody that goes back and does a video about, what they've actually been using and what works for them. And since I started my channel to kind of do that anyway, to be a guide for, people getting off cigarettes into vaping, I thought maybe I'd do that. Maybe it'd be helpful for somebody to see something that works. And I'm not the type of vapor that is into monstrous clouds or doing the cloud chasing thing or competitions or rings. I use these to help me quit smoking. And that's one thing that I really like about the TC100. And it's not even my actual go-to vape, but I do use it every day. And I use it for when, I want just a little bit more of a cloud, a little bit, bigger, what do I want to say, pretty much doing direct lung hits. So when I want kind of a bigger hit than my normal device that I use for my everyday go-to device, I reach for the TC100. And I mean, it does, with the iSub tank, give me a real nice flavor, gives me decent clouds. And like I say, I'm not somebody that sits here and, blows giant clouds of vapor. I just, like something that, takes the place of smoking for me. And actually my go-to vape, everyday vape that I use all the time is really a throwback, but it's the one I love and the one I use all the time. And that's the Innokin SVD 2.0. And I love this thing. In fact, the only reason why I ever got onto the Coolfire 4 and the Hunter was I had the old SVD, the Innokin SVD, and I had that one since I think 2013, and that's what I had been using every day. It was my everyday go-to vape, and it was known to have a problem with the button on it, that it would sometimes just like to turn itself off. Finally, I just got frustrated with that and, stopped using it, and that's when I started getting into these box mods. I went through the first Coolfire 4, then I tried the Coolfire 4 Plus. Really liked both of them, but it just didn't feel right in my hand to, be using all the time, all day long. I missed the, feel of the, I guess they call them tubular mods, that is what helped me quit smoking. So I went out, I picked up a couple of these for $25 a piece. They're one of the best mods ever made as far as the tubular style. Reason why they weren't super overpopular at the time that they came out was it was when everybody was in a rat race to see how high a wattage they could get in one of these tube mods. And this one actually has the DNA, evolved DNA chip in it, and it only goes up to 20 watts, and there were some that came out at the same time it did that went up to 30 and 40 watts. So I don't think this did as well as they were expecting it to do. Plus, it was over $100 when it came out, and if you've ever used anything with the DNA chip in it, then you know why, because they're just fantastic. I mean, they're smooth, it hits right away. And you get decent vapor production off of it, and that was doing that at just 10 watts. I used the Innokin vertical coils, the iSub vertical coils that are 2.0, and just vaping it at 10 watts, and I get a satisfying vape out of that every day. But when I want something a little bit more, I do turn to the TC100, and I've been using this along with the Hunter for over 6 months now. and they both work great. I mean, they're the one thing that I do like about these, they have the new 1/8 on chip in it that Innokin is putting in all of their mods now, all of their temperature control mods. And as you can see, once you hit the button, there's no delay. It's right there. That's something that's real nice about these. And I vape it mostly for temperature control because I really like the stainless steel coils, especially the ceramic ones that Innokin has. I really like those for temperature control vaping. So they give me a real smooth vape, and it's the same hit every time. Of course, you know, your level of your clouds, the flavor, that's all going to depend on your atomizer and, you know, where you've got the uh, opening for, you know, the airflow. I don't like huge airflow. I like more flavor. So I barely have the airflow open on this. I don't think you can tell real well on my camera. But it gives me, you know, pretty good sized clouds. Like I said, I'm not a cloud chaser. But it just does the job, and they work. And if you were to use this as your all-day mod, you could probably get 6 to 8 hours out of it, depending on how much wattage you were pushing. The TC100, of course, is 100 watts. The iTaste Hunter is 75 watts. The one thing that's different about the Hunter is that it has you use an 18650 battery for it, whereas the TC100 has a 3300 mAh built-in battery. And, you know, like I say, it'll last pretty much most of the day, unless you're doing something where you're going at about 75, 80 watts, and of course you're going to use it up a lot faster. But one thing that I didn't like about the Hunter, because essentially they have the same chip in them. They both have that 1/8 on chip in them. But for some reason, they have it the cutoff showing your battery drain at 3.6 volts. So when you get down to where you've got about 3.6 volts left in your battery, then this one will cut off. And, you know, it should go farther down to like 3.3 or 3.2. But that was one thing that I didn't like about this, because the battery runs out a lot faster. However, it does, when it's at full battery, it does operate just as nicely as the TC100. And right now I've got this one with the regular stainless steel 316L coil in it, and running it at 35 watts. And again, get a real nice, smooth, consistent vape out of it. So like I say, today was just more or less a video, you know, telling people that, hey, the TC100, it's, you know, if I was going to go out and buy a mod today, it would probably be the TC100, or I might get that Innokin Chroma, because it's the same thing as this. The only difference with the Chroma is it's 75 watts. It has the internal battery. Doesn't have quite as big a battery in it, but it has that where the tank sits down, kind of almost like an all-in-one, but it sits down to where it's only about this tall, you know, when it's sticking out. And that would make a great pocketable device to take with you to work or wherever you were going. But the insides of it, it's the same chip, it's just 75 watts instead of 100 watts. So I've been thinking about maybe getting one of those just to have for the times when I do go out somewhere, or, you know, do something. I work at home, so, you know, it's not ever too much of a problem for me. But anyway, that was just it. And like I said, I just thought it'd be nice to do a video where you can see something that I've had both of those mods, the TC100 and the Hunter. I've had them for over 6 months, and I basically use them every day. Like I said, the SVD 2.0 is my go-to everyday vape, but I do use those other two all day long as well. Mostly the TC100, and every now and then I'll have a tank on the you know, the Hunter that has a different flavor in it that I'll just use for a little spice. But I mean, they'll sit there fully charged and last for days and days and days, because, you know, I don't use them every day. the SVD doing this. This has an 18650 battery, and I'm doing it at 10 watts. I get about anywhere from 4 to 7 days on one battery on this, and that's, you know, chain vaping all day long. So anyway, if you have any questions or, you know, would like to ask anything, don't hesitate to you know, leave your comments down below. Sorry it's been so long that since I've done a video, but like I say, I don't really do reviews anymore because I just don't have any new things to do a review about. One thing I will say, I may also, unless I'm kind of waiting to see if Innokin comes out with an all-in-one, but I may have to. I love Tia Vapes, and she just swears by the Cup D, and so I may have to pick me up a Cup D just to see what all the fuss is about, because she says that, and she gets everything brand new, so, but she swears by the Cup D, and that's her go-to all the time vape, so I may have to check that out. I did have a knee box. It lasted about 2 to 3 weeks before it started leaking, and then with the Kanger knee box, once it started leaking, I couldn't get it to stop. So needless to say, that was a worthless investment, and that's one of the reasons why I don't go out and buy a whole lot of mods when they're brand new, because I like to see what they're going to be like, you know, if they're still selling them after a certain amount of time. But anyway, if you have any questions about the TC100 or the Hunter, go ahead and leave them down below. I'm Tim, and as always, keep on vape-laxing.